Guess what time it is?
What time is it?
It's Girls Unscripted time. And this week on our Weekly Reality Gab and our Real Housewives Roundup, we are talking about us going to LA ComicCon, Brittany Cartwright's new man, Jen Shah's new prison sentencing, the Real Housewives of Orange County, the Real Housewives of New York, and the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And we also talk about Love is Blind. So we will see you in this week's Weekly Gab and Real Housewives Roundup. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Girls Unscripted. My name is Kate.
My name is Carolyn.
And I'm saying good morning because this is the earliest we've ever filmed or recorded Girls Unscripted ever. It's 9 a.m. on a Friday, and this will be the true test of how good we really are.
This is the early bird version.
But you know what? I only woke up an hour ago, but waking up, doing my makeup, I finished watching Salt Lake this morning, wrote my notes. I feel like I've already lived a million lives, and it was a good excuse to wake up early on a Friday. I'm actually not opposed to it.
It is crazy how much you can get done in your life if you just wake up a little earlier. You know?
Seriously. And then we also have to address, and I will take this one. I know we've been remote a lot, and that's not our number one choice. We prefer to be in person. We feel like we're better in person. We feel like we give you guys more energy when we're in person. But our studio is someone's guest house, and there are a lot of external factors as to why sometimes we can't record there. It's not ideal, but it's we also just feel so lucky that we're able to film in someone's literal guest house with all that fancy equipment. And the external factor that the guest house is dealing with today is there is a literal gas leak. So we considered risking our lives to be in person, but decided maybe it's better that we just do remote.
This is also just our polite way of saying, please make us fucking famous so we can have our own studio. We want our own studio so we can go in and do whatever the fuck we want all the time.
That way we don't have to mooch off of other people.
Look, it's not even 9:30 and I'm cursing up a storm.
You're literally cursing and I'm sipping tea. My nails are atrocious. This is not my best look.
Kate, you do know that it does look like Kate's getting her life together. I do feel like...
You know what? I'm actually more prepared.
I'm
more prepared than this than I have been for most of our remote things, though, I think. I don't know why.
Oh, that's funny. I'm probably less prepared than you are then.
Also, another factor in our lives is we started recording later in the week because we're trying to watch all the Real Housewives, and Salt Lake doesn't come out till Wednesday, so we just need time to watch it. And I think back when we weren't watching something on air, we were so much more open of we could film on a Monday, we could film on a Wednesday, and now we're basically, it's either Thursday or Friday for us, but we're all caught up. It does feel it is literally a week since we were at LA ComicCon, but we have to talk about it.
I can't believe it seems like so long ago.
It does feel like so long ago.
It was just a mere week ago.
It was a whirlwind of the day, and it started with a drug deal pickup of me in a Starbucks parking lot.
We human trafficked Kate to meet her in Culver City-ish as Kyle and I picked her up to go to the long trek of downtown to the LA Convention Center.
Well, because LA is so big and there's always so much traffic that we wanted to carpool together, but I just didn't want them to have to drive further out of their way to come and get me. So I was like, I will meet you at this Starbucks. It's right off the freeway. Just scoop me up. And when I got scooped up, you're literally right before I got there, I'm getting a text from you saying, there's a bunch of people dressed as Star Wars characters here. And I'm like, oh, fuck. They went right to the convention center. Little did we know that Starbucks must have been a fucking meeting ground for people going to LA Comic-Con.
We weren't the only ones with that idea. That was for sure. There were 3 Chewbacca's immediately as I pulled into the parking lot.
So we're on our way to Comic-Con, and I would say we were nervous, but I don't think we were as nervous as we were when we were at the Entertainment Weekly party, to be quite honest with you.
No. Why do you think that is? Well, it was overwhelming. It was like being thrust into a pool of reality stars when I myself have not been around many reality stars. So
Fair.
That was a shock. Comic-Con, we walk in and it's mayhem in the best way possible. It just feels like such a welcoming environment, because it's like, hey, come dressed up as whatever the fuck you want and let's get weird together for a day. Like, that's how it felt.
That is kind of what we talked about in the car too on our way to Comic-Con. We were both like, why are we nervous when there's going to be people in literal elf ears watching us in the audience? I feel like with Comic-Con, we kind of knew what to expect a little bit more. Entertainment Weekly, it was like very imposter syndrome. We were like, we shouldn't be here. We're around a bunch of famous people. But at LA Comic-Con, it was just like, it was actually beautiful. It was like everyone is here just doing what they love, dressing up. Like we were like, this is where the nerds reign supreme. And we're the nerds because we don't know any of this stuff. Like we were the outcasts in their territory.
I mean, we recognized the Back to the Future people. We knew more than I recognized more people than I thought I would, I will say.
There was a lot of Back to the Future. There was like a little remote control R2-D2 that was like rolling around, which was pretty cool. So we get there and we check in and we meet up with Rob, the guy that's hosting our panel. We meet the other two podcast people. It's a podcast called Bachelor PhD. And at first they were like so quiet, and Carolyn and I were both like, oh my God, like this is going to be so hard. Us. Then they really opened up and
they're awesome.
They were awesome. I told them like, I don't watch The Bachelor, but the way that they spoke about it was, I mean, it's Bachelor PhD, but it was very intellectual. I was like, I could listen to you guys talk forever. And we walked around a little bit, and Comic-Con really was like, it's not something I would ever go to on my own. So I was so honored that we were able to go for free. Shout out to Kyle, Carolyn's husband, who paid the like $70 or whatever for a ticket so we could come and watch us.
Peter Madrigal from Vanderpump Rules, from Sir, ever heard of it, was going to be on our panel. So we were able to like mentally prepare to meet him and get to know him. Like knowing that going in made it a lot easier than like the E-Party where it's like, just figure it out. Like you don't know who's going to be there.
No, 100%. So yeah, and we met Peter, and Peter's brother was there, and they were like, last year.
Peter's brother.
Yeah, Peter's brother was pretty funny. Peter's brother was in like this like insane getup. He had a cowboy hat on, long curly hair, these glasses, which you could tell he had eyeliner on under the glasses, and like a ripped t-shirt like hanging off of him. And he looks at Carolyn and I and goes, "Man, I really wish I dressed up for this thing."
I thought he was cosplaying Johnny Depp. No shit. I thought that's what I didn't realize he was Peter's brother for the longest time. And I was like, oh, you know him? Oh, this is just how you dress.
He's like, yeah.
So cool.
I really wish I dressed up for this thing. And Carolyn and I are both like, well, we're like trying to like work our way around this. We're like, well, what you're wearing is kind of. And he goes, oh, this is just what I wear all the time. Like,
I loved how he said it. He was like, I think this is just my natural behavior. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So we got to know them really well. And then they were like, Rob was like, last year we only had 3 people in our audience. So like, and the one woman was like, yeah, and it was my husband and 2 kids. So he was like, we'll see what this year brings. We all were kind of under the impression like, we're not really sure what the reality TV Comic-Con crossover would be. Right. We had like 16 people in our audience. Mm-hmm. Like we had wasn't a full house, but it was close. I mean, I know 16 doesn't sound like a lot, but I thought it was like the perfect amount.
Yeah, we had like the fairy girl. I don't know what everyone was.
I know what her name was. I introduced her. There was this girl and she was in line waiting. Like she was waiting for our panel. And she was like the first one in there. She sat right in the front. So I went up to her and I like was like, oh, thank you so much for coming in. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And she goes, Erica, but you can call me Lady Jedi. So she had Lady Jedi on her necklace. She had Lady Jedi on her bracelet. And she was in full cosplay, long white wig, titties out, big, what are they called? Pasty X's over the nipples, in a corset. Like she was like giving fairy, but also I guess Lady Jedi. And it was just like kind of like, I just loved when we were up there on the panel looking out and seeing her in her full getup. I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted.
It was so
awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It was so perfect. And I don't know if we've like plugged him yet again this episode. Obviously we were there because we were invited by VanderpumpRobs, and a great podcast you should listen to. And he was the moderator. So we had like Rob in the middle, and then you had Bachelor PhD on one side, Girls Unscripted on the far other side, and then Peter was in the middle with Rob. So it was really fun and a lot less pressure too, because Rob just asked questions and we just chatted. So it felt a lot like this, honestly.
It was like a podcast. Rob really was an amazing moderator. He did
such a good job.
A good job. I also felt very comfortable. We were sitting behind a table, so like I had like my notes out and it was low key. Although Carolyn sat next to Peter and you guys weren't in like a tiff, but you guys got in like a heated discussion at one point over something. Peter loved you, Carolyn. I really think he did.
I by the end of it, I was like giggling, tapping him on the shoulder. Like we were
Yeah, she was like,
by the end of it.
They were like old friends.
Well, because they started with my question, which while Rob was reading it, I just leaned over to Peter. I was like, this is the dumbest question. I don't know why I said it. It was like, it was so theoretical. Like, if the first wave of reality TV was dictated by novelty and the second wave by social media, what is going to dictate the third? And Peter immediately was like, novelty? And I was like, I wasn't going to say, and I was like, well, yeah, novelty. What are you talking about? Yes, it was completely new. Reality TV like didn't exist. Part of the coolness is that like we were seeing things that we've never seen before. And so we went toe to toe and wit to wit for a little bit. And I think it turned out okay. I was also very scared.
No, you were great. I feel like it actually brought a lot of energy. Like, it was funny, fun banter. I think we did great. I think Rob's gonna post the episode if he hasn't already. The panel interview. But yeah, it was really fun. I felt like it was, Carolyn and I just kept saying this is really great practice because we will be doing more things like this in the future. Man.
Totally. Oh, and then I didn't realize there was one part where Peter was talking about I mean, it's a joke on social media too. Peter wants to be the Bachelor so badly. And so I took the mic and I was like, Peter, you do own your own reality network. Like, you could just make yourself the Bachelor. Then I said something and I was like, because I want in on it. And he was like, well, what would you do on it? And I didn't realize he thought I meant be a participant to date him, because he had just met my husband and he had just Kyle was sitting in the front row. So he's like, well, what would you do on it? I was like, oh, naturally, I produce or host, but
and he was
Kyle
like, oh.
Yeah, he was way less excited about
Which we're also kind of like a flashback. Remember when we said that on our podcast that you should make your own Bachelor show and you guys reposted it? Just saying. You're welcome for that idea.
Welcome.
Yeah, it was really good. It was one of those things that I feel like you and I both had so much like nerves and anxiety going into it that the second it ended, we were both just like deflated, tired. We tried to walk around a little bit longer, but we were both just like, we gotta go.
I just wanted to go home and nap. And because we were meeting and Kate wasn't able to go, but I met with Peter and Rob at SUR that night.
Yeah, you're a real one for doing that.
Such an experience because, I mean, oh my God, the amount of attention they get at SUR is just exhausting. And for him, I mean, like, I totally forgot this. I think you told me it, but he told me at the thing that they paid him every season except the last season. And they were like, but will you still be in it some? And like, how offensive is
No, that's fucked up. That is fucked up. That's very fucked up.
I was like, I wouldn't work here anymore. And he's like, well, I have allegiance to the restaurant, to Guillermo. Also, Guillermo walked by and Kyle goes, oh my God, is that George Clooney? And I was like, Kyle.
No, Carolyn, my mom said the same thing back in 2014, and it clicked to me recently. She also thought Guillermo was George Clooney. He is a exotic George Clooney. Guillermo is hot.
Dead ass. Just so excited to see George Clooney. And I was like, no, but you should be equally excited because it's someone of the same caliber in my mind. It's Guillermo. The place.
Oh, for me, it's Guillermo, George Clooney.
Yeah, exactly.
Guillermo is above. It was great, and yeah. Did you guys eat it, sir? Did you just hang?
We just had a couple drinks.
What'd you drink? Oh, the Green Goddess.
I had the Green Goddess.
I've never heard of it.
It was like their cucumbery green martini.
Oh, ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I don't like pumptinis because I think there's raspberries in them.
Yeah,
there's some raspberry component, and I don't like raspberries. So
there you have it. Everybody, never fucking don't you dare get Carolyn a raspberry flavored.
If you ever mention it, I will hit you.
Oh man, when I was younger though, I used to always buy raspberry flavored vodka, like the Burnett's or whatever, and mix it with raspberry brisk iced tea. And that was my college drink. And you know what? Sometimes I think, why are we acting like we're too good for that shit now? Because it was actually tasty.
Yes. Mine was pink lemonade, Crystal Light pink lemonade with just a ton of vodka in it. And I was having Crystal Light pink lemonade the other day just as a beverage. And I was like, why don't we do this more?
Don't know.
We need to normalize good flavored drinking again. Maybe
100%.
we do it more.
Or like flavored vodkas and stuff. Like I know Burnett's is like really cheap, but Burnett's, did you ever drink Burnett's? You know what I'm talking about?
All the fucking time.
Burnett's had a pink lemonade flavor that you could drink straight, and it was actually good. Like you know what? I'm taking a stance. I'm gonna start buying flavored vodka again.
Yes.
We used to drink like flavored Bacardi.
Yes.
You know what? I say that, and then I'm gonna have one bad hangover and be like, yeah, now I understand why we didn't do that.
I don't know how the sugar levels would deal with me at this age compared to college, but
we were built a bit different back then.
But I think I would still get after it the same because it tastes so good.
Because you could just rip shots.
You could just line up shots. You could do the Jax Taylor and take 7 shots in under 60 seconds.
You know, I've been bringing flasks out with me a bit lately these days.
Are you okay?
You know what? Inflation. I blame the 2024 presidency right now. I blame the election. I blame,
my God.
When I vote, I'm going to write in lower alcohol costs in Los Angeles at bars because it's too damn expensive that I have to literally reach to the back of my cabinet, pull out my flask, blow off the dust. And you know what? Because why wouldn't I? Because if I'm spending $18 for a vodka soda, why would I not just order soda for free and then pour my own vodka in it? And sometimes they check your bag, and you know what I've done in the past? I've taped the flask around my ankle like an ankle monitor using boob tape.
You should get a floppy flask.
Oh, one of those that folds up?
Yeah, you can put that shit anywhere.
Maybe my boobs.
Yeah, the boobs.
I just think flasks are the way.
Yeah.
And take that from me.
Yeah. Maybe you should tell Kamala and Donald, and maybe one will incorporate.
Kamala would do it. Kamala would do that for me. Okay, let's talk about things that are happening in the reality TV world. Have you heard about this Brittany Cartwright, Julian Sensley?
I'm going to need you to break it down. All I know is that she apparently has been hooking up with one of Jax's friends.
Yes. Okay, let me tell you, because there is a bit more to the story, but I'll make it snappy. So Brittany, this isn't a big deal. Brittany and Jax separated. Brittany started hooking up with someone else. Good for fucking her, as she should. Down for that. The issue is that one, he is a pal of Jax. People have spotted him in the first season of The Valley. Like, he hangs out around Jax's Studio City. He's in the world. 2, apparently, so he's an ex-NBA basketball player turned actor. And he apparently was a doorman at Tom Tom. Not sure when that was. He also dated Lala 2 years ago.
Red flag.
Lala,
Red flag.
it was never confirmed from Lala, but she had hinted it on her podcast. The internet sleuths figured out this is who you're going on a date with. And then apparently a blind item came through of people that met him. And he was like, oh yeah, I dated Lala. And then another blind item came out of Jax saying, oh yeah, Brittany's sleeping with my friend Julian. And Jax just says,
did he
everything.
date Lala like post Ocean era, or was it like back in like Lala?
It was 2022, so I think.
Oh wow,
post-Ocean.
okay, that was like recently.
Yeah, like right after Randall. So it's not like a big deal. They're not together anymore, but there was a lot of interesting connections as to it, and it's like, if I was Brittany, I would be like, why are people even talking about this? This is so stupid. It's just the fact that, like, he worked at Tom Tom. He was Jax's friend. He's in the Valley. He dated Lala. And then he hooked up with Brittany.
Well, hasn't Jax been mouthing off on it a little bit on social media?
I wouldn't know. I'm blocked. Famously.
I could be very wrong about that, so I'll look into it.
Well, apparently there was a fan event where these girls went up to him who was in Canada, and they were like, hey, we were at Jax's in January, but you weren't there, but we ended up sitting with your friend Julian. And Jax supposedly said back to them, like, oh, the guy that's been fucking Brittany or something like that. So he didn't seem happy about it.
Nice, Jax.
Okay, and then Jen Shah is going to be getting out of prison in just a few years.
I know. I read that too, and I was like LOLing of like, I guess it was reduced before, and this is the second time it's been reduced, but it's still in a while. Like, that's 30 years. I say that, but I remember when Teresa's husband, Judice, went in, and I was like, oh my God, we're never gonna see post-era that. And we've seen the whole family fall apart since then. So, like,
she's on House of Villains
before you know it.
Yeah, I don't know what her original release date is, but you're right. It says it has been reduced for a second time. And now her release date, oh, I see it, is December 19th, 2027. It was originally August 30th, 2028. So basically, it's like a year and a half she shaved off.
Like 9 months, 8 months, 10 months, right?
Yeah, I'm so, okay, wait. So August 30th, 2028. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is. It's less than a year. Yeah.
But still, you know, when your kids are the kids of her age, those are precious years. So anytime she can get back is good, I guess. I
mean, it's still 3 years from now. So we've got some time.
It's a minute. And she still is a felon. So, like, I'm not giving her
Well, okay. And that's the thing that I'm a little confused about, because did you see Lisa Barlow, like, made a comment? She was on Sheena's podcast, and Sheena asked if she still talks to Jen or something. And Lisa was like, I've gotten jail mail from her.
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
She did wish me a happy Mother's Day, and I wished it back, and said that, like, she's harmless unless you're elderly, which is funny. But a lot of people are like, dude, what? Like, she's in fucking prison and you're kind of making light of it. And I just think that these women are still scared of Jen Shah. I think Jen Shah still has shit on them. I think when she gets out of prison, if there is still a Real Housewives, if she's allowed to come back, she'll be back.
Oh, she'll be back. Teresa was allowed back.
That's right.
I mean, well, I don't know if Teresa's was a felony. Well, it might have been if she was locked up for a whole year. She'll absolutely be back on our screens, back at BravoCon. She'll be back in our lives in some way or another.
I'm catching up on Love is Blind right now, though. Pretty good.
Me too.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
How far are you?
I'm episode 6.
Okay, so have you seen... Okay, yeah, I'm behind you. I'm on episode 5. It is crazy that the producers didn't choose to follow Brittany and Leo, because they were the couple that, one, I was most intrigued by, but two, I wanted Leo and Hannah to meet because they had a thing.
Spoiler alert for anyone who's watching. Yes, I also thought...
Normally, you put the spoiler alert before the spoiler, and that's on me. Apologies.
No, we can, erase time. But, okay, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about spoilers. The fact that we didn't see how that played out, I don't know how producers let that happen. We want to see him see Hannah.
Yes.
But, I mean, let's be real. He's an asshole. He's crazy.
He sucks.
He sucks. And I'm scared if he saw Hannah, he would be a mean person. And I'm almost glad, like, for everyone's mental health that he just went to Miami and never came back.
Yeah.
But our friend, who we talk about every single episode... Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Bucksbaum from Entertainment Weekly.
we need a sound effect for when we talk about Sydney.
Sydney, yeah. It's got to be like a party girl, like woohoo.
Okay, hold on. Okay, this is our Sydney when we talk about Sydney Bucksbaum. We'll workshop it, but right now it's just an innocent little ding.
And we're seeing her on Sunday, so we'll brainstorm it a little bit. But she interviews Brittany, and Brittany doesn't have a lot to say other than they went to Miami, and, you know, travel is hard on partnerships, and after a few days, essentially, they knew it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
But, 100%. Like, she wouldn't say much more than that. Like, what? What the fuck happened?
She didn't say enough. And I also listened to Sydney's interview with Brittany. I listened to some of the interview with Leo, but I feel like we didn't get enough. My theory as to why they weren't followed is because I do think Netflix wants this, as much as they love the drama, they do want it to seem like it works. And I think if you see all these failed couples. Like Brittany and Leo were the definition of love not being blind. She was not into him the second she saw his face. And I think that they need to make it seem like, see, love really is blind. This really works. They wouldn't have done that for the show. They also probably realized Leo is superficial, and he would have said something superficial when he saw Hannah. So there really wouldn't be any drama there either.
Yeah, but producers know that we love to hate the same person together, so it'd be awesome to see us hate him be an asshole if I were a producer.
They kept on Shake. Do you remember Shake?
Oh, God. Shake. Talk about House of Villains. I mean, yeah, who
could
forget Shake? I guess it's because they decided to go to Miami, which I didn't understand why they did that.
Must have been something they talked about in the pods.
Yeah, whatever. It worked out. But you said something that made me think of, when I watched this show, I don't know what the producers put in those drinks to convince every single person that is there that they are falling head over heels in love with whoever is behind that blue blob door. Like, it's like they're fed drugs and don't realize the statistics. How many couples have worked out from this? I know one.
I know of 2, but I haven't watched every season.
2, great. Out of, let's see, 5 couples per season, 25 couples. I mean, like, this doesn't work. I mean, the way they propose these people, they're like, oh, I found my person. Have they not seen the show? Do they not know how this works? Like, you don't know them. You think you do.
I also think there's a lot we don't know. They must talk for hours a day, really get to know each other. I think it's a lot of people that are like leaning into the experiment aspect of it. I do agree with you though, is like,
which is where I think producers are like pulling the strings. I'm like, it's an experiment. You got to lean into it. It's just an experiment.
Well, when you agree to get engaged, you're not legally binding. You're not signing a contract. You can still not do it. So I understand people being like, I'll get engaged. We'll go to Mexico. We'll see what happens. It's like you're saying, I'm in love with you. I'm so in love with you. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's like, chill. You don't. And I actually appreciated that about Brittany, how she was like, I'm not ready to say that yet. But she agreed to get engaged.
Well, I mean, there's even scientific phases of how relationships work, and time is a factor of how long you can move to each one. So even if you've talked to someone for 10 days straight, it still wouldn't be enough time for you to move from anything from lust, you're thinking the best about everything they're saying, to the realistic stage, which comes next.
Fair. You also have to remember that these are people that signed up to be on a Netflix reality show because they want to find love that bad.
Yeah, that's so true. Hey, if I were single now, now I'm playing devil's advocate. I guess the worst thing that could happen is I'm publicly humiliated on national TV. But I also trust my character enough to not be an asshole, but you don't have any control how you're edited.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one.
There are some people that get bad edits, and then there are people like Leo who is just kind of a bad person.
Oh, God.
You can't bad edit someone that talks the way that he does.
Oh, my God. The way he was yelling at Hannah was
that.
God damn it, Hannah.
That was horrible. That was actually scary. And maybe producers flagged that and were like, we can't keep this guy.
Okay, but I can't wait for you to see Mexico, because we've got
I haven't gotten there yet.
It's great. Yeah, I want to talk about it.
I can't wait. Let's get into some Real Housewives for this week's edition of the Real Housewives Roundup. Gets me every time.
I'm almost crying. It's just so beautiful music to my ears.
Gets me every time.
Real Housewives Roundup. Let's start up real quick. We won't do the whole episode, but I did see you put on our sheet, do you know what's going on in OC? Because apparently something's happening. And so I was like, oh shit, since it's Friday, I can watch the episode. So I watched it this morning while I was getting ready. And Shannon Bedore. Shannon, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, she is just such a mess. I feel so... Okay, so of course, surprise, surprise. Guess who's dab in the middle of this next controversy? Jeff Lewis. Can't get rid of the guy. He's in every fucking controversy ever.
Honestly, iconic of him.
She went on Jeff Lewis and okay, back up. You remember she's in hot water because John is suing her for $75,000 for a facelift that she never paid him back for.
Okay.
And the whole thing is that she's been saying it wasn't a loan. He just gave it to me. He gave me the $75,000. And she's gotten all her friends to rally behind her and be like, oh, it's so horrible he's doing this. She offered to pay the $75,000, but said, I will only pay it if you sign this non-disparagement clause where we can no longer talk about each other. So, like, it's done. He said no to that.
That's kind of crazy. He should have just signed that.
Well, that's where it gets, a lot of people said that. And then you interview John Jansen, and he's like, I wanted the truth to come out. And I do believe that he is a fame whore in many senses.
Okay.
But after this episode, it gave a little bit of new light on it because Shannon's on Jeff Lewis. He asks, so you were gifted $75,000. It was not a loan. She goes, I was talking about how I wanted the facelift. He said, I wish there was a way that you could get a low interest loan. And I said, well, you have money. Pause. Okay, so now we're admitting that, like, loan was even in the equation. She's been denying it the whole time. And so then you could still say, well, maybe he just goes, no, I'll pay for it. But then she goes, and then a couple days later, he gave me a promissory note, which is a loan note. So it was a loan. There's no way around it. It was absolutely a loan.
So he is essentially acting as the bank, giving her the loan with the intentions that she will pay him back.
Yes, and he got like some sort of official document that's like, this is the note of I'm giving this to you with you're going to pay this back because it's a loan. Because that's how loans work because we're in America. Loan. And she somehow was like, well, it's not. She's got, so the girls in Orange County hear this Jeff Lewis episode and they're like, what the fuck, Shannon? We've been like rooting for you and being like, fuck this guy. Carolyn Murdoch has been going over to parties in West Hollywood saying, like, I was supporting their love story.
You just supported the love. That's all you did.
I supported the love.
You're going to be the next TMZ article.
And I can't wait to be in the middle of it. I'm the next Jeff Lewis. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Actually, it would be.
And so, of course, they're on this British trip, and Tamara is unleashing on her when it's Shannon's 60th birthday trip. So it's like, it's getting messy already. Shannon already wants to go home. But that's what's happening, is this reveal of, like, it was much more of a loan than we were led to believe.
Fair.
By Shannon. And then there was, and I didn't quite understand this. Then Jeff Lewis talks about, Shannon says that John heard the accident and didn't come out to help her. And she shows a picture of her bloody face and is like, he didn't come outside. And Jeff says something to the effect of, like, how do you know that? And she's like, well, I don't know. And so then the girls are like, well, fuck, Shannon. Like, we also were like, fuck that guy for, like, leaving you to die. And now it's just not looking good for her.
Yeah. It seems like she was wanting sympathy, and now the truth is starting to come out.
And that's what they're saying. And she's getting really upset. And she's in a fragile place, is all I can say.
What my mom was saying, though, my mom was like, I hope Alexis gets fired. She was like, think about, because I don't watch Orange County, but this was an interesting way to think about it. Imagine, like, you and Kyle break up, and then Kyle starts dating another girl that,
it's
like,
horrific.
Like, just comes into your life, steals all your friends. You can't get rid of her. She, like, it is kind of fucked up that Alexis is, like, I feel like people forget that, like, Shannon, really was kind of fucked over by them.
But producers fucked her in the bottom. Like, I don't know how she let that happen. If I were Shannon, I would say, no, I'm out. Then I'm out. It makes me almost wonder if Shannon's almost on the outs anyway, and she knows she doesn't have the leverage to do it. Because, Tamara was kicked off a few seasons ago, and it was thought that the Tres Amigas would be all gone around the same time. So Shannon's probably a cat with 9 lives at this point. She might just be forced, if she wants to be on the show. Well, be with the girl your ex is fucking. Like, God, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. I also can't stop thinking about how there's like people out there that are struggling getting loans to like go to college or buy a house. And here's Shannon like, I hope I can get a loan for my $300,000 facelift or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, God.
I mean, a $75,000, and she talks about how she has to
$75,000.
get her kids through college and everything. I mean, that's like over a year of tuition at a college. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, all of it's odd. They all have
it's just different
problems,
lives, you know. It's different lives. It's just, but she got the facelift, and I'm sure she's happy. She looks great.
She does look great.
What should we talk about first, New York or Salt Lake?
I'm the hose of the horse.
Yeah,
Your call. Your call. I feel like I just yapped at you about Shannon for a bit.
I literally wrote on the sheet, do you know about this? I don't know. I want to know. And I know a lot of our listeners listen to Orange County, so it's only fair that we talk about Orange County. It's big. Let's talk about New York. I feel like it was a big episode of Everybody versus Bryn. Sai is mad at Bryn. Aaron's mad at Bryn. Uba's mad at Bryn. But really, my biggest question is, it's basically, I felt like this last episode was a Bryn and Aaron episode. What's going on with Aaron and Abe? That's what I kept thinking about the whole episode. There must be something huge. He has betrayed her. She can't even look at him, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes out, he sold their Bitcoin. I thought Bitcoin was a fake fucking thing. I didn't know people still had Bitcoin. I literally thought Bitcoin was fake. So for me to now realize that you could buy a house with Bitcoin, I'm blown away.
It's such an Aaron thing. Like, we should have known this from Aaron. Of her to like make this big, like, what do they say? Molehill out of an ant. Oh my God, I sound like one of the housewives trying to say something. What, you know what they say? Like, they make a big thing.
Oh, a mountain out of a molehill?
Mountain out of a molehill. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh my God, start my montage now. Mountain out of a molehill. That's what's rattling her to her core. I mean, I get it because Bitcoin is a lot of money. And if Kyle had a Bitcoin and he just sold it, I'd be like, da fuck, Kyle. But the way Aaron is so emotionally upset about this, we had our friend Johnny text us like, I think it's because they're swingers and he went outside of their boundaries. Like, we thought it was something insane.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, it is a betrayal. And it does sound like there is more to the story. Like, it's not just Bitcoin. There are other things here and there, which if you add up in a marriage, that does hurt the trust to a good degree. But Aaron, there are bigger things going on. Like, it's not that big.
To play devil's advocate too, though, it sounds like they could have sold that Bitcoin for a lot of money. And I think what it was is, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do an equivalent. There is one slice of pizza left in the fridge, and I know that pizza is there. And I had a long day of work, and I'm thinking about that pizza all day. And I get home, and someone ate my pizza without asking me first. I almost feel like that's how she feels. That Bitcoin was sitting there. She always knew it was there. She was waiting for the right moment when she was salivating over that Bitcoin. And she heard Bitcoin, we can sell it for so much money now. Because that's what she said. She said, it was sitting in there. I haven't looked at it in a while. I was prepared to sell, and here I find out that not only did Abe already sell it without asking me, but he sold it when it was really low. So it's not that he just sold it, it's that he made a really bad business deal. And he should have talked to her about it first. It's silly that it's about Bitcoin because, like I said, I didn't even know that was fucking real personally. I thought that was like a fake thing. My second thing is, to play devil's advocate for Aaron, is I do think the producers hyped us up to think that this was such a bigger deal because we saw a lot of clips of her crying and saying like, my world is just so rocked right now. And we're led to believe that was about Aaron and Abe, but it was just about Aaron's mom.
I was in the crypto world when it was the hot topics.
You know more than me.
So I tracked Bitcoin prices for a while. I hadn't in a minute, so I just Googled it. It's at $62,000 right now.
What does that mean? Like you could sell it and you could sell one Bitcoin for $62,000? You could sell one
Bitcoin, yeah, immediately. If you had a Bitcoin, you could just do
Holy
that.
Holy shit, I should have gone in on the ground floor of that.
$62,000. Exactly. Well, that's what, why a lot of people did. It's also why a lot of people are broke now. And if around the time, I mean, Bitcoin has gotten low The lowest I've seen it was in like the 30,000s. So we're not talking about like millions. I mean, I would assume it was like a $30,000 to $40,000 difference.
But I
which is
do
a
think
lot of money.
I think it might have been more. I remember a couple months ago, Dan saying to me, like talking about how high Bitcoin was.
The highest I've ever seen it was at $100,000.
That is insane.
But that was
Where does this
4 years
money
ago.
come from? I'm out here going to bars using a flask, and people are making $100,000 off of something called a Bitcoin.
They're not just making $100,000. They're making so much money. Kyle was saying like he remembers he was in Harvard when like Bitcoin started, and he had people that bought thousands of these things when they were 0.000000001 overnight billionaires. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it is if you did it right.
I just don't understand. I don't understand. But where is this money? Like, does it just poof out of nowhere?
I can explain it to you, but it's really fucking complicated.
It's a conversation for a different time. I will never understand.
It's actually even crazier than you think. There are people and computers solving puzzles all around the world, and a Bitcoin doesn't get released until a puzzle is solved. Now, I know. That's like the very layman's terms of talking about it, but the amount of power and energy it takes to do all the computational things to even get to the answer is controversial in itself.
Dude, we are literally living in the future.
Whole other episode. We are.
I do love, though, speaking of money, how Jenna Lyons said, "Oh, you ladies think I'm poor? Let me introduce you to my new $200,000 Bentley hybrid."
I know. Cool, Jenna. I really wasn't worried that Jenna was poor.
Well, and neither was fucking Jenna. Really, Jenna doesn't. I feel like people try to use Jenna as a pawn of like, well, you said this about Jenna and you did this about Jenna. Jenna doesn't give a fuck. Like, Jenna is so unbothered by so much that I think she's probably my favorite of the Housewives.
I actually saw a different side of her where I was like, oh, she does get a little bit bothered.
Oh, interesting. Oh, with that comment?
Because she did mention it a couple times, and Jenna and Aaron talked about how they had talked about it and squashed it. And then it upset her enough to make sure that there's a whole scene inserted of her getting a $200,000 Bentley car. So I'm like, oh,
yeah,
maybe she
you're
does
right.
have a little less cool than I thought.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I mean,
who knows?
She's still a real housewife, and there are
at the end of the day.
She's still a housewife at the end of the day. I wanted to comment about the conversation that Brynn and Aaron had with each other, where basically Aaron walked in, Brynn did not give her the time of fucking day, wouldn't look up from her phone, barely responding to her, extremely combative. Aaron didn't stand a chance, and I was really confused. Like, honestly, Brynn just came off as like a huge bitch to me.
Yeah, that scene did not do her favors at all. Especially when she was like, I'm giving her tap water and she's not allowed to see the puppy. Like, it was just all bizarre behavior.
And then they leave and they're like cool with each other and they're like hugging, and like, we're like sisters, we fight like sisters. And it's like, I just think Brynn is I still like Brynn. She's just becoming a bit too much. And I'm like,
I know.
Please tone it down a little bit, Brynn, please.
I agree, because she is so charming and funny and like has such great housewife potential. But we're starting to see through the cracks a little bit of like, oh, that was weird. Her text about her being carbon monoxide is weird. That's a weird thing. Like, we're seeing a lot of weird behavior kind of pile up, that it's like, oh, there is another side to all of these women. This is only season 2. We really don't know any of them yet, you know?
Really good point. Yeah. Speaking of Brynn, I thought it was extremely fair. This is a positive thing I'll say about Brynn. I thought it was very fair for Brynn to ask Rebecca what they're supposed to say if the Scientology stuff gets brought up. I thought that Brynn was actually just kind of trying to be like a good person and is like, hey, we just need to know what you want us to say. And I felt like Rebecca was very defensive about it in a weird way. And I'm sure Scientologists are used to being defensive, but to me, it didn't come off as Brynn judging her. She was just like, how do you want us to approach this? Because it is a serious topic that we are going to be asked about.
I agree. Look, you know how I feel about Scientology. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do think Brynn could have asked that off camera. Like now
fair.
you're going to ask that while we're all here together with cameras. Like if you were really concerned about that, you would have approached me separately and said, hey, when we're on camera and we're asked about this stuff, what do you want us to say?
No, it's interesting. I actually had a completely different, I was like, she purposely asked her in the helicopter because she probably thought they wouldn't be able to use the sound. But I think you're right. You're right. But no,
maybe.
but I think you're right. She could have asked her off camera.
I mean, they had all the time in the world. It's just a text, you know, if she was really concerned about it. But
right.
that is a good point. I didn't think about the sound. Maybe she did think it was just going to be too loud. They couldn't use it.
Yeah, they used it all right.
But they sure did.
2 other things I just want to say about Erin real fast. Someone online made this comment, and I'm like, it blew my mind. They said that Erin and Abe are an older version of Kyle and Amanda from Summer House. And I can't unsee it.
Wow.
I can't unsee it.
Wow. That's beautiful.
It makes sense. Apparently Abe
It does make
DJs.
sense. Well, I didn't know Abe wasn't of the necessarily like financial background that Erin clearly is. Like I did find it interesting that Abe was like, yeah, and I have pressure to give her this lifestyle that she had growing up. So I do think it's really interesting that there is that dynamic that I had no idea about.
And Erin made a comment of like, you know, before I met you, I was flying around in private jets with, and then just kind of made a face. I'm like, who the fuck were you flying in private jets with?
And like, don't hang that over your husband's head.
Yeah.
Like years later with kids. Like that's a weird play as well, Erin.
And then lastly, on Watch What Happens Live, she revealed that her dad passed away, which is really crazy to me because the whole season she's dealing with her mom. We've seen her dad a lot in the first season. I don't know what happened. Apparently it was like 2 weeks ago.
I saw the post. Now that you mentioned that, I did see
and
her
Andy,
post that.
I mean, Andy said like the nicest thing. He's like, I don't want to make you cry, but I do just want to send my condolences. We've seen your dad on TV. You know, we can tell how much he loved you. I think Erin was dealing with a lot of shit, and she is. And I think I'm going to treat her with grace this season, unless she does some crazy fucking shit.
Good point. Very fair. We did enter the episode with her buying wigs with her mother. Like,
Right.
She's going through a lot, which Brynn was also bitchy about. Of like, you cut your hair because you're going through shit.
Yeah, right.
What? That's so mean.
Can I tell you a side note? Something really, this is a really off topic thing, but have you ever seen those YouTube videos or like TikToks of the 2 guys, Chad and JT, where they like go to the council meetings and like
I fucking love them.
they're like, what up, council?
They
blah,
have
blah.
a show on Netflix where you can watch all of it, by the way.
Okay, well, Chad, the blonde guy, lives in my neighborhood and he walks his dog. He was literally just 5 feet away from me. His dog was sniffing my grass. And I'm like, Dan, I'm like, Dan, that's him. Dan's like, no, it's not. I'm like, I swear to God, it's him. And he walks by my house every single day around this time. And I'm like, I need to find a way to be like, hey.
Just say you're a big fan. Watch his show. They're so funny.
No,
I
they're
watched
hilarious.
it all like 2 seconds.
Everything they
City
say is
Council.
funny. Everything
Yeah.
they say is funny. So I just had to tell you that. When we record remote, I always see some shit because I
You're
face my
seeing
front yard.
stuff.
So
I'm
I just had to let
facing
you
a
know.
wall. Yeah, I love that.
Do you have anything else to say about New York?
I think we're good to move on to Salt Lake City.
They did a Laverne and Shirley intro. I don't know if you ever watched that show. I used to watch it with my mom.
Okay, I was like, maybe Kate's too young. I watched it on Nick at Night all the time.
Nick at Night. Nick at motherfucking Night. Wow.
Fucking slaps.
Memory unlocked. I loved Nick at Night.
Laverne and Shirley, I Love Lucy, the whole shebang.
My favorite show growing up that was on Nick at Night was The Cosby Show. I don't know if I've ever revealed this. I was like a
Look,
huge Bill Cosby fan.
That's not a you problem. That's a Cosby problem. Like, it's okay to like the show.
Yeah, I
It
loved
wasn't
The
your
Cosby
fault.
Show. Always
It was
Nick
a
at Night.
good show.
But yeah, so the Laverne and Shirley intro was awesome. What I loved about this episode, although there was fighting, I liked that it was fun. I liked that it looked like a lot of them were actually enjoying spending time with each other. I hate these forced cash trips where they're obviously just there to film versus like trying to have fun. They did a lot of fun things this episode. I was LOLing at the fact that they're at a beer tasting and Mary, who's never had beer, calls Miller upscale and regal. Like, that's just this was a golden episode. I don't think that much happened, but I just think they did a lot of fun things.
Oh, absolutely. To see Mary sip beer, the champagne of beers, Miller Lite, that she didn't even know there was champagne
Miller
of
High
beers.
Life, Miller High Life,
Miller
yeah.
High Life. Again, it just speaks to Mary's not relatability. Most of us have tasted beer, but her likability this season, because that was a very fun moment just to see her with the girls, and it looked like she was getting along with everyone. We're seeing a new side.
I literally wrote in my notes, is Mary okay? Because at one point she literally gave Whitney a hug and was like, love you. I'm
Yes. I was like, so she loves what? And I go back to, I just think she's never had good girlfriends before.
I think you're right. And I think she's changed her mindset this season. And I actually have really been enjoying Mary Cosby. I did think it was hilarious that Lisa Barlow basically did a backdoor deal because she was pissed at Whitney. And it's like, I'm not going to go today. I have other things I want to do. Meanwhile, she's stealing the two friends of that don't have to be at this beer tasting to go curling with her. I thought that was so funny. She's just sitting there I'm not going to hang out with you. And then it's do. Brittany, Maylee, do you want to hang out with me today? It's so obvious.
And it's it literally is she just runs into them in the lobby and are like, hey girls, do you want to go do this? And I think they want to be Lisa's friend so badly that they were like, okay, I'm just sure.
You're inviting us?
Yeah, and if I were in their shoes, I probably would have gone as well. Well,
yeah.
But I would have been really excited about the castles.
Oh my God,
the
same.
caves, so
Same. Whitney is blowing up over this Alibaba thing, and I think her anger is not really warranted. I think Lisa Barlow was 100% right. I think Whitney was blowing it way out of proportion. I think Whitney just wants drama.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Lisa stand up for Meredith.
Yeah,
it was very season 1 feel of wow, we've come full circle here. And since we've met Meredith and are now best friends
very good
with
friends
her,
with Meredith, yes.
I care about her friendships and well-being. So it's good to see she was taken care of.
Well, and Carolyn, didn't you say that last episode that we recorded that you are hoping, you're rooting for their friendship and you want them to be back? Did I make that up?
Maybe. It would be something, it's something that I feel. I mean, they were best friends going into the beginning of it. And they're such dynamic characters that them together on the same side is lethal. I think they could do
right.
I think they could do a lot of damage in fun ways.
I'm wondering if it's a hot take, but I love Lisa Barlow this season. I think she's been pretty logical in every fight. She's been standing up for herself. I think it's hilarious when she yells. I really, really enjoyed that. And she, you know what? She just was so right. Whitney is accusing everyone of gossiping about her, but the call is coming from inside of the house. Whitney does that every fucking episode, whether they're filming or not. She does it off camera. She's talking, she's gossiping about people on bio files. I want to like Whitney, but man, she is just being quite hypocritical.
The call is inside the house.
Literally.
The traitor is within these walls. I do think there's a little bit of truth in, and now if Lisa's listening, I'm scared of Lisa Barlow. Look, I want Lisa Barlow to like me, okay? I'll admit it. I love Diet Coke. She's a crazy ass bitch. I love it. No, good, again, what's the phrase? Takes one to know one.
Oh, you also love fast food.
I also love fast food. We have a lot in common. We're practically sisters. But Angie was right that Lisa is mad because Angie didn't go along with her.
I agree.
So I do think Lisa does have that power, though. I mean, it is her way or the highway.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff. And even if it's, warranted or rational, she'll let it be known. Even though, when she was screaming back, I don't care what you do. Mm-hmm. That, I was like, you very much care what they do.
She does.
The whole show is about you caring what they do.
Well, she did say, I don't care what you do, or I don't care about you, or whatever, and then immediately followed it up with, but I know that you try and end phone calls with me by claiming that you're going to talk to Elektra. And then I think that got blown out of proportion, because I'm like, she's not slighting your relationship with your kids. She's just saying like,
oh, see, I also was like, whoa. If I were on the show, I would be like, kids are just a no-no. Don't bring
yeah,
them
she
the
did
fuck up.
kind of use that against her.
I'm going to call it now. We're going to have so many lawsuits in this country from kids who were brought up on reality TV that had no say in the matter, that had their whole lives just exposed. And we're like, great, the whole country knew me. I didn't ask that. But I guess that's no different than any celebrity's child.
Yeah.
Except that cameras are inside your house following your life. So it is a little bit different.
Quick fun fact that I just learned, actually. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, passed this bill, and I may get this information not 100% correct, so don't come at me, but he announced it with Demi Lovato, where, so in I don't know if this is nationwide or just in California, there's something called a Coogan, like the Coogan law, Coogan account, where if you're a child actor and you are making money from something and you're under 18, it goes into a bank account that you or your parents can't touch. Like you get it when you're 18. And it's to help, I believe, it's to help for your parents to not steal your money if you're the one that's earning it. And I just learned that they are starting that for TikTok. People that use their kids for like TikTokers. If you make money and your TikTok account is with you and your child, and then of course all the comments are like, wow, we're about to see all these mom TikTokers move out of California. But I just think that's very interesting. So I need to look more into it, but I just learned that.
You gotta keep your kids off there, Kate. You're gonna get in trouble.
I know. I was literally thinking about bearing children just to make a little bit extra money on the top. But yeah, all in all, I actually thought both episodes of New York and Salt Lake were decent. I thought New York was interesting. I thought Salt Lake was fun. I watched that episode and I'm like, I could go to Milwaukee. That what they did that day of the Miller Caves to the Harley Museum or whatever to the drag show, I'm like, that is a fun ass fucking day.
Whitney planned the fuck out of that trip.
It was good.
She did a really good job.
It was good.
I also now I'm like, well, Milwaukee, here we come. I've been there once for a wedding, but it was an overnight thing. We should Laverne and Shirley.
Also, can I say hilariously, last episode, I was talking shit on like going to a casino in Milwaukee. I did not realize that Milwaukee was in Wisconsin. Duh. Next weekend, I'm going to Dan's family reunion in Wisconsin, and we're going to a casino. And I just didn't put two and two together that it's like the same thing.
Oh my God, you're going to go to the same one.
I hope. No, we're not going to be in Milwaukee. We're going to be in like... If we have any Midwest listeners, we're going to be, so my boyfriend's from Minnesota. We're going towards Danbury, Wisconsin. And we're going to the family reunions at a bar that's like such a Wisconsin bar with like deer on the wall. And there's like little like electronic casino games in it. I'm excited.
I'm so jealous.
I'm excited.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah. And there was like, I saw the text chain and someone was like, I hope Kate from California is going to be used to the cold weather and the bears. And I'm like, well, I am from Pennsylvania. Like I do know what those things are, but I'll lean into it.
Yeah. Lean into it 100%. Yeah. Kyle had been at that exact casino in Milwaukee and I'm taking him to a casino today for his birthday. So
oh my gosh, where are you guys going?
I don't know. I'm going to surprise him with it, but I'm trying to figure out which one. There's one down like by the airport by Lax. It's like
there's like the Hollywood Park Casino.
Yes.
Yeah, my friend Will's been there.
We've been there. And then there's like, one's up in Ventura. There's obviously Morongo. I mean, the world's our oyster.
This one's far, but if you want to make a night out of it, highly recommend the Fantasy Springs Casino down in Indio. It's far. I mean, you would be driving 3 hours. But this is a casino. It's got like a bar. It's got a club. It's got dancing. It has a bowling alley. It has a sick-ass ice cream shop. I actually went there on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
So I love Fantasy Springs Casino. Sponsor us.
Okay. It's on my list. I'll give him options and see where he wants to go.
I mean, that's
He's
far,
going to be
but...
like, really? Well, I don't know. We're spontaneous. He might be like, let's do it.
Well, let me go leave you so you guys can go hang out. I do want to plug, though. I want to plug that you used your Makeup by Lena lip gloss when we were at ComicCon.
I did. Lena, if you're listening, I was like, hey, look what I got. Makeup by Lena. That butter gloss. It's a great touch.
It is
good. You
good.
can use it with everything.
Yeah, it was
gives
great.
You that shine.
So I had to say, I should have said that when we were talking about Comic-Con. All right, well, go hang out with your husband. It was his birthday yesterday, right?
Yes. And I had
him.
class last night, so I didn't get to hang out with him.
Class?
So today I will. Oh, I'm in a writing class now.
Well,
I know.
tickle my ass and call me Sally. I had no idea.
Please don't make me do that.
Oh yeah, I
Either
don't
of
know.
those
I don't know
things.
where that one came from. I knew
Not
you
again.
were thinking about getting back into it, Carolyn. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you. I was so nervous, and then I was like, "Oh, it was a teacher that I had 7 years ago, and I reached back out to her, and she still teaches." And
That's
so she wanted
amazing.
to be- Yeah, it was really cool. So
Congrats.
we'll see.
All right, well, Gabbers, as always, thank you so much for listening. I posted this on our Instagram, but that Comic-Con thing we wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for you. And you guys keep us going. So we just appreciate you so much. And it's been a while since I've given a sentimental thank you. So there's your October sentimental thank you.
We've been wanting them. The crowd has been wondering where they are.
Well, every time I give a sentimental thank you, we get off the Zoom and then I'm crying for hours and I just can't stop. So I'm trying to reel it in a little bit.
Interrupting your day-to-day life.
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, again, we started this at 9 a.m. It's a Friday, so I have a full work day ahead of me. So you go spend time with your husband. Please give him a hug for me and all the Gabbers. And thank you guys so much for listening. We love you.
See you next time. Love you.
Bye.